Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am out in the greenhouse today. It is a very cold winter day. It is around 70 degrees this morning, but it's bright and sunny. I've got my heater running and I'm nice and warm, and I thought this would be the perfect day to work on making my wreaths. I want to make a wreath for the greenhouse door back here, and I think I'm going to use this. And I also want to make another real one for our front door on the cottage. And if I have time, I think I will make a couple faux wreaths using some things that I have and hang those inside the house. I really like to hang the real ones outside because that way it's cold here, they don't dry out, they last a lot longer, they stay green, and that's what works best for where I live. But of course, if you live somewhere that's really warm, fresh wreaths don't really last very long at Christmas time. I totally get that. The way that I make my wreaths, you can make them out of real greens or faux, it doesn't matter. The technique is the same. So I thought it would be fun to take you guys along and show you how I make wreaths. So to get started making a wreath, of course you're going to need a wreath form. You can use a wire one, you can use a grapevine wreath like this, you can use basically whatever you want to use, whatever you have on hand. You're also going to need some floral wire, and I'm going to be using a lot of fresh greens. I've got all of these clippings. These are just from my yard, and I'm also going to be using a lot of real pine cones that I found laying around. I think I'm going to add in some dried eucalyptus. I have some that is more of a like a bluish hue, and it's really pretty, and I think it'll make a good contrast against these greens back here. So since I am using this grapevine wreath, I'm not going to use petal wire because I don't want to just wrap it around and around and around. I want to just add some sprigs like here and there and some pine cones and some eucalyptus, and to make it really easy, I'm just going to be using the short already cut floral wire. So I have an entire package of these, and I'm going to use these to take a couple of sprigs and put them together, wrap them around, and then stick them in here. So as I work, I will walk you through it. It's gonna be very easy, very quick. And same with wrapping these around the pine cones. All you gotta do is wrap it around and stick it in the wreath. So I've got everything that I need to get started on making these wreaths. I actually, when I went inside to grab a few more things, my eucalyptus and stuff, I grabbed another Wreath Form. It came in this color. I think I got it at Hobby Lobby years ago. Almost like a gold, and it's really pretty. And I like just adding a little bit to the bottom part, like greens, and I'll probably do like some red sprigs. And then I like hanging it from a ribbon. So this is pretty large. You have to have, you know, either a window or a really big door. This would actually work on our greenhouse door. That's actually pretty wide. It's like 3.5 feet, I think. But they do make wreaths in every size, so if you like this idea instead of something that's more thick and bulky, the grapevine wreath has a lot more of a natural look. That's why I like it so much. It's a little wild and a little bit woodsy, and I think it'll look really pretty, especially once I add all the greens and the pine cones. So I'm excited to get started. I don't really have an idea in mind. I'm just gonna use what I have, and whatever it turns out looking like, that's what it's gonna look like. The only thing that's a little bit of a bummer is I'm gonna have to use scissors to clip some of these greens, because the other day I went to my mom's and she invited all of us sisters. I have 8 sisters, by the way. So we were all invited to come over to her place to make wreaths and just spend time together, really. And I think I left some of my materials over there. And I think maybe my snips got left over there. I actually have 3 pair, and I grabbed them all and I put them in a tote, and I think I may have left them over there. But I can use scissors. It's not ideal. It just means my scissors are gonna be very sticky when I'm done with this. So what I'm looking for is I'm kind of picking through and finding some of these that have thinner branches. Some of these are quite thick, so I'm not going to use those ones, but I'm looking for things that are like soft and, you know, kind of will drape really nice. I wish I had cedar. I think I said that before in my garland video. I wish I had cedar on my property. We don't, but that would be really nice if we did. But like something like this, where they have little branches like that, that's perfect, because I can clump them together and add some pine cones, and it looks really pretty. That's a good start. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some of my floral wire here that's already pre-cut and like gather some together. So there's like more than one type of pine and kind of clump it together like this. And what I'm gonna try to do is make it a little bit longer on one side and a little bit shorter on the inside. That way when I place it, it doesn't make this center hole like way too small, if that makes sense. So I'm just gonna add a few longer pieces to this. And then once I kind of have a bundle like this, I'm gonna just take the wire and wrap it around a couple of times, pulling it really tight. And then once I have it wrapped around, I'm gonna just twist these together, and then I'm going to find a spot on my wreath here to stick it in and wrap it around. That way I'm not wrapping floral wire all the way around this really thick grapevine form. I'm just sticking it in and wrapping it around a few of them, making sure it's really secure. So for me, making wreaths and, you know, garland and stuff like that, it's all about being creative and using what you have and trying to come up with something cute. I think that's why I like making stuff like this so much, because you can be as creative as you want. And it's like every time you make it, it turns out a little different, and that's pretty cool. They never look the same, they never look boring. And you guys know me that I love it when things look homemade. So when I'm placing this next one over top of this, I'm making sure that this thick part covers up the last spot where I attached it. Once I get done with this part, I'm going to work on adding the pine cones and the eucalyptus that I brought out. This is the color right here. So it's kind of like a greenish blue, almost has like a gray hue to it, and it looks really cool. Okay, so this branch here is the perfect one to end it with. I'm not going to go all the way around the wreath. I'm just going to do part of it, but see how it has that like curve to it, and it's going to hang really, really nice to cover up all of the wire that I put down in here on the last few. So I'm going to use this one, and I'm probably going to grab a couple more. So I'm really happy with how this is looking. I didn't want it to go all the way around. I've got quite a few on here. So I think I'm gonna start adding some pine cones and some eucalyptus and see what I think. I'm really liking how this looks. So right now I'm just kind of checking to see if everything's hanging how I want it to hang, and I added a wire over here, and then I'm just adding another short floral wire, just kind of threading it up through and securing the branches that are a little bit flopping in a direction that I don't want them to, just because our hill gets very, very windy, and I don't want these to fall apart. So now I'm gonna grab my bucket here that I have. I have this full of pine cones, and I'm gonna just kind of sporadically put them around the wreath, just kind of add them in there. So to attach these pine cones, I'm going to take the same floral wire, and I'm just going to thread it through the pine cone like this and pull it tight, and there you go. So you've got like a little sprig that you can stick anywhere on your wreath. So now I think I'm gonna add some of this eucalyptus and just kind of tuck it in there. I'm gonna attach it with the floral wire, but I just kind of want to add a little bit of dimension with a different color. This is what I think I'm gonna do. I like the way that this looks, but I kind of wanna add some red, and the only thing that I have that's red is this like deep cranberry. It's faux, and it might not hold up outside on the door just because it's really flimsy. But I think if I like wire it in there really, really well, I don't know, what do you think? Should I leave it neutral or should I add the red? Okay, I lied. I found something else. So this is a lot smaller than these. And it's also like a deeper, more burgundy color. So maybe I'll use these. I don't know. I'm just kind of stick it in there and see if I like the way that it looks. I kind of like it. I think if I secure it in there really well, it'll stay. And if it blows away, then oh well. So here is the look at the grapevine wreath that I made. This is how it turned out. I really think it looks good on the blue door. I was gonna hang this on the greenhouse door, but I thought it looked better over here. So now that I've got that first wreath done, I've started on my second wreath. I am using the gold hoop and I'm just doing the same thing. Okay, so to make a wreath, obviously all you're gonna need is a wreath form and a bunch of greenery or whatever it is that you want to use. I also have a lot of pine cones that I'm going to use, and then you're going to need floral wire. Some of these are already pre-cut. You can use these. These work great for wrapping around the pine cones and just sticking in, but you also can use paddle wire. And then to get started, you're going to just want to grab your greens. I'm going to take a few and I'm going to kind of stagger them, kind of look to see which way the branch, you know, kind of curves. And I probably won't use this one. This one looks a little wild. I like natural, but you know, that's a little too wild for even me. And then you just take them and you kind of clump them together, just like I did on my garland. And you pinch it right here. And then you're gonna take either your paddle wire or a wire that's already cut, and you're gonna pull it really, really tight. And then you're just gonna add it to your wreath form. So I'm gonna wrap this around a couple of times. And I'm gonna pull it really, really tight. Make sure that it's not going anywhere. One little sprig on there, you're gonna just do the same thing over and over and over. You're just gonna repeat it. So depending on if you want a wreath that goes all the way around, or if you want to do a partial. I like to do a partial wreath and then add some pine cones or add some like berry sprigs or something like that. That always looks really pretty. And then sometimes I hang it from a really pretty ribbon on the top. But anyway, that is how I make my wreaths. It's really, really easy. It does get you a little messy, but if you're using faux stems, of course, it's a lot cleaner. I think I'm going to take this one all the way around. I can show you what I've got so far. It's actually a pretty big hoop. So this is how the larger wreath turned out. This is the one that I used the hoop on. I just decided to leave it all natural and plain. I thought it looked really cute with my little Charlie Brown trees, which you can see how windy it is right now. This tree is like completely bending in the wind. I haven't decided yet, but I may add some lights. So I may string like some twinkle lights out here. And I thought about even stringing some lights around the greenhouse. So we'll see. Thanks for hanging out with me today in the greenhouse. I hope this inspires you to go in your backyard and look around and see if there's anything that you could make a fresh wreath out of for Christmas. I'm gonna let you guys go. I've got a lot to clean up, all of my mess from making these, and it's starting to get late in the day and it's gonna be dark soon. So I'm gonna say goodbye, but I will see you in the next video.